So dear Thai, dear Sangha, at this point I would just like to briefly introduce the panel because we didn't do that before when with the children. So just to say, we have Sister Khong with us, and she'll be going back to Vietnam shortly. So we're very grateful to have her presence this week. Quite lucky she was not here the first 2 weeks of the summer, so you guys get to have Sister Khong with you this week that you're here. So I think many of you know her, and if you saw the film of Thai, you saw also her working with Thai through the history of Thai's life and the Vietnam War. And Sister Khong has been Sister True Emptiness, has been a social worker in Vietnam since she was very young. She was just reminding me of the story when she first started to collect rice from people to give, like take rice from people that had rice to give to people that didn't have rice. Very simple idea she had to help people that were poor and were otherwise needing to steal things. So this is one thing I just learned, Sister Khong shared with me personally. So she has this heart of compassion from very young, and she only chose to become a nun because meeting Thai, she realized this was a way she could bring compassion into the world even more effectively. So her main direction, action in life has always been to bring compassion in action. Yeah. So her book, Learning True Love, you can read. And thank you, Suko, for being here. And as you see, she loves the children a lot too. Sister Giac, you've met already with the talk in New Hamlet. So you already have heard her wonderful Dharma teachings on the right diligence, taking care of our emotions and things like this. Sister Giac is a Mother Superior in the Paris Center, and that just means we're a very treasured elder sister who takes care of many the sisters, giving them love and patience, and also for brothers too. Yeah. I remember when I first came to Plum Village, I met Sister Giac. She was not so long already a nun when I first came, and she always had this young energy. Even she's a bit like a grandma for us. And she said, yes, I took care of my inner child. And when she said that, I could see this is how she practices to keep the child in her, taken care of, and then she has this lovely energy to offer everybody, along with all of her wisdom. And Phap Khoi is my dear brother. We've been a long distance together in the Sangha, and he has worn many hats, including taking care of many administration roles, and he's managed to keep his practice. So if you want to know how to keep your practice while being on the computer and doing accounting, he's the role model for this. But he tells me his passion right now is gardening. So maybe he would rather answer questions on that. He's there. And he recently did a long tour of Vietnam, and with a number of brothers and sisters. The second time that you've been on a tour, not with in recent years, and I saw that gave him a lot of nourishment in the Dharma. So I myself am Brother Phap, and I'm originally from the UK, and I don't have much to say. Just maybe we just get on with the questions. So
Thầy Phap Lai is specialist on helping Liberia people, African people, and the next step, the step we have done after helping Vietnam for hungry children, we are trying to help Liberia, Africa, Botswana, and others. And he is helping us. He kept everything. He have to report to me because I went along to Vietnam for too long. He have to report everything about Liberia, so I know. Okay. So we do like that together. So he will replace me to help Liberia and African country. If any of you are interested, you are welcome to contact him. Thank you.
right. Thank you. So, any young adults for coming up? We're also making connections in Africa, in Uganda, with schools there. So there is starting to be more connection in these countries. And with the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation, if you donate to them, they sponsor us to do outreach in places where, many places, including like places like Palestine and Israel, where maybe, and South America, where we cannot, the people there, because of the currency thing, they can't afford to fly us over. So we try to do outreach, not just go where people can afford us to go, and also sometimes bring people here. So we have some Ugandans coming here for the wake-up retreat. We have Palestinians coming and Israelis coming that we, if they need, we sponsor them to come. So these are some of the things that we do to make it possible for people that otherwise could not to get in touch with the Plum Village tradition, Thai's teaching. Yeah. So please come. Yeah.
Dear Sangha, I have this kind of habit of looking for answers in books and spiritual teachers, and I kind of searching for spiritual authority to rely on, and I kind of ask, how can I more rely on myself or my inner voice?
The first part of your question I don't quite understand. Can you repeat clearly?
So, as I understood, you shared that you have the habit to go to books for learning the teaching and the spirit. Yeah. So more of an intellectual approach, and also looking to kind of spiritual authority outside. People that can show trusting in somebody else's insights, and wants to learn more how to learn to trust his own insight, the Buddha insight kind of thing. Yeah. want to take it? Dear respected Thay, dear brothers and sisters, and dear community, in all of us, we're always looking for something outside of us at all time. We look for guidance, we look for happiness. We always see that out there is something that we want. But in our practice, we have to learn to look inside ourselves. All the conditions that will help us to become happy, to become enlightened or having insights, all of it is already existed in yourself. And you have to have trust in yourself in order to do so. But trust is something that's very difficult for us to accept. How can I trust myself? I don't know anything. How will I know my practice is going the right direction? How do I know that this spiritual path I'm taking is the right path for me? The Buddha, during his time, have taught those who have come to him. He said that you don't have to blindly believe what I tell you. I just give you guidance. You have to try it for yourself. It is true. Nobody can give you happiness. Nobody can give you the insight. Even that person is the enlightened Buddha. You have to find that insight for yourself. And the way to look at it is, when you put a practice into your daily routines, for example, if you're able to brush your teeth mindfully, just that 3-4 minutes of brushing your teeth, and you're able to do it, and see clearly that you are in that present moment, and you're happy, you're grateful that you still have most of your teeth, and you don't have a toothache. So that is an insight. You're happy. Then you're trusting that, yes, this is something that have brought me a little bit of happiness. And so you do that, you continue with that, with everything that you have learned from books, from Thai, from your friends, for all of us, on any traditions. Life is a learning process. It's a classroom. You learn. But you have to put into practice. And when it is effective, you're happy, your mind is calm, you're free. Then you see that, now I have trust in this. So that is a step. You build up the habit, trusting by applying it. And then when it works, then you continue and you try. If something does not work, it's okay, it doesn't work. Even though it's the greatest teaching, it's not for you. It's not applicable to your life, your environment. You try and you test it. And that is how you start trusting yourself. And it's a process. None of us can tell you to trust yourself. It's you who have to take that step for yourself. Dear Thai, dear Sangha, dear brothers and sisters, my question is, I'm living in this place in some months, and I see a tendency in myself, dislike about
seeing people likes and dislikes about the people. And I see that when I encounter some people that I don't like, somehow, I transmit a kind of energy to them, and I have fears coming up, and I cannot be myself and with these people, and that makes me suffer somehow. And so, yeah, my question is, I'm wondering, why is it happening that, of course, like people that most of the time I don't know them. Why do I have this, tendency of not liking them somehow? And yeah, I'm a little bit confused about that, and I don't know how to behave in these cases. So maybe I'm looking for just to know myself a little bit more, or to have more clues about that. Hope it's clear, the question.
I summarize, I don't know, you said that somebody, you just see and you feel that you can dialogue, can talk, can be good friend, but there are those who just see and then you feel unhappy, not very easy, not very in good shape to communicate with that person. Is that? Yeah. And you don't know why. You just see and then you have no sympathy at all. Yeah. That is clear in Buddhist psychology. Because when you grew up, you receive from your 5 sense organs the sound, the look, the form, and via your ear, via your eyes, and then you have in your store consciousness as a child, you have some encountering with a person who always make you miserable, and that person happen to like to wear in blue, and then next time when you see a person who come to Plum in blue, right away you have no sympathy. And you don't know why. Because in your store consciousness, you have a lot of difficulties with people who wear that kind of robe, or the way, sometimes it's not a robe, it could be a behavior, the way who should cut you, but in a nice way for the person, but for you, the little boy feel, you are close the door to such a person. So when you hate somebody, that's because of that store consciousness in your past, like a child, like a 5-year-old boy, like 14-year-old boy, have some problem with that. And so you fell in love with that young person also, and then, but not in that style. But one day she wear the dress, it look like the person who caused you a lot of misery. And you, why you wear that dress? That is because of your childhood. And the store consciousness have put everything, living experience in the past, they remain there. And when you fell in love with somebody also, you fell in love with a number of good things, that you have good experience, but when you suddenly quarrel with her because she behaved that day in a way that remind you in your childhood you have difficulty with.
After this, we'll go in order of those that arrived first. But this one, are you with the young adult? Yeah, please. Yeah. So we have one more question with you. Yeah. Thank you. So we just enjoy one sound of the bell.
Dear Sangha, dear Thai, this is a vulnerable question. Within the young adult tribe, this is usually a moment of life where we may be making decisions about life partnership to make a family. We hear in our culture a lot about falling in love. And true love here, which I think is a bit different than falling in love the way it is used in Western culture. I'm from California. I'm curious to hear anything around wisdom. I come from a family of multiple divorces, and so making a decision about life partnership is particularly confusing for me. I don't trust it. How important is it to make that right decision for your partnership? And how do you know? And can you basically cultivate true love with almost anyone you choose? Or does it really matter that person and how you know? It's a big question. Anything around that topic is deeply appreciated. Thank you.
I'm looking at my brothers and sisters and realizing there's no escape. I'm sure Sister Chan Khong will help me.
In Buddhist teaching on psychology, we learn that when we perceive something, we only perceive one part. And the rest of what we see in other person is the construction of our mind. It's the Buddhist terms also. So that perception also called construction of our mind. And that construction is, you see him or her who have that quality, you have 4 qualities. Right away you construct in your mind that he also have that 100 quality. And in fact he has only 4 qualities. But other quality of him is not yours, because he have experience, suffering experience with others, and for him that is more safe to be, but for you it's not safe, and so on. So we need to be humble of our perception in order to be happy in life. When you have a perception about Plum village, you arrive, oh, my sister said that Plum village is great. Oh, that person shocked you because she wear the dress in red, and you have bad experience of your other sister in your family in red, and then you see that person you don't like, you don't know why. And so how to trust that we can, first you have to trust and to that your perception about Plum village is also very little, the rest is construction of your mind. Your perception about that man was also like that, but the rest you make construction. And the key point I use to ask people that when you are shocked, don't show your ugly face. Go back to your calm, your peace, and you say, I don't know. And then you tell yourself, why? I have no sympathy with that person. Oh, he seems very kind on that way and that way, but every time he do something, it makes you feel uneasy. And so you stop and you breathe and you don't show your ugly face, you make walking meditation. If there is such a man or such a woman who know how to stop, to look deeply, you know that it's the right person you are going to choose and to marry. Because if you just say like that, He's immediately said, "Well, should you have?" And then you cannot, even with all your kindness, with somebody who just hear you something, right away react in a very angry way, unkind way. And so that person, you have to make okay, you have a lot of wonderful things, but I have the way to train myself, and I think that is very good for each of us to train ourselves when we are shocked. Don't show our anger. We learn to look deeper in order to understand, and you wait for 4 or 5 days, and after that you say, "You make me suffer yesterday very much. Why? You are so good." And then he think and he try to explain. So such a person, you think that you can trust. But if other person, "Yes, I'm like that," you accept or not accept? Okay, it's not your. So the way is he share the same practice, stopping, looking deeply with compassion.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, this complex question is not only my own, it's asked by a number of other practitioners as well, and it took me quite a bit of courage to ask it, and I feel my heart beating. I would in particular like to ask Phap for an answer. First of all, I want to express my deep thanks to Plum Village for over a decade of giving me and my son, who now lives here, very, very much, in particularly the role model that it played for me in becoming vegan when I heard that over 50% of the greenhouse gases were caused by animal products. And also thanks and my deep gratitude for giving me the tools to deal with my negative mental formations. Thai said a good number of years ago that in 50 years' time, our civilization, our culture could be gone, and that in 100 years' time, the human race could be extinct if things do not change. And now scientists have confirmed this and give us a short 5 years to act, to stop our mad consuming globally. If not, otherwise the climate destruction could be triggered to a point of no return irreversibly. I want to express my extreme joy that I felt when I saw my son's video that he sent me when I saw the monastics walk peacefully in Giac, as well as in Bordeaux. And also when I heard that the Extinction Rebellion, during the Extinction Rebellion, which closed down the center of London for nearly 2 weeks, that there were Plum Village nuns there who joined in the nonviolent direct action to protest against climate destruction in the footsteps of Thai, Martin Luther King, Gandhi and others. Now my question today was inspired by the documentary on Thai's life that we saw recently, showing all the decades of his engaged Buddhism at the same time as leading people to spiritual awakening. And I agree that the collective awakening is absolutely fundamental. In that film, Thai says, if the bombs are falling down outside, we wouldn't be sitting on our cushions anymore. We would go out and do the best we can. Now, bombs are not falling yet outside here, but the planet is on fire, and we need to put it out very urgently for life to have a chance to survive. And I wonder if Thai today, if he could go out still, whether he would be there playing an important part in this new civil rights movement. Now the question is, I wonder, has the time come to cut through this worst of all possible afflictions and to decide to resume Thai's engaged Buddhism and to speak out through nonviolent direct action so that the governments can hear that we will not tolerate the extinction of all life on this beautiful planet, and that they will finally act accordingly. And maybe this decision may make all the difference for life to have a chance to continue.
Thank you for your question. I always say that a good question never to be so long.
One more
So please.
sentence.
We almost hear a speech from you,
It's one more
but
sentence.
not a question.
Very clear question now, hopefully. On a personal level, I'm asking, how can I engage in better communicating this issue skillfully in order to be more effective?
Thank you for the question and for voicing a general concern for the planet and for our future to be possible. So I want to say, to remind myself that the last part was your question about how can I better communicate, and bring this message. And I think, and you also mentioned, would Thai be going out if he was here and walking and talking around at this moment? Actually, Thai continues, even he's in a wheelchair, to care very much and do a lot by his way of being and his way of staying with us. He was able to write a letter to say the reason he's in Vietnam is for fostering, cultivating brotherhood and sisterhood, and this has always been Thai's main direction and action, is to build brotherhood and sisterhood, which means to build love, and it does mean it is the same as collective awakening. This is because with brotherhood and sisterhood we can support each other. We can be as Gandhi ji said, we can be the change we want to see. We can live in harmony together It means we can share resources together and we can support each other. And those that are weaker, we have enough capacity to take care, and those that are stronger can also engage in actions. And collective action is always more powerful than individual action. And where does that action come from? It has to, like in an answer for the child, we want those elements of calm, compassion, and wisdom, deep understanding, non-discrimination. We need true love. And there was also a question just before about true love. And elements of true love are the brotherhood, sisterhood, friendship, loving kindness. We need compassion, joy, inclusiveness, non-discrimination, trust, confidence in ourselves, not to go into despair, but to also act from a place of non-fear. And finally, the reverence for life, staying connected with life, with Mother Earth, not abandoning her. Tai once asked Mother Earth, can we trust you to be there for us when things are going in this direction? And Mother Earth replied to Tai, yes, you can trust in me. I will do everything to be there for you and to regenerate, even there are many wounds. But then Mother Earth also asked Tai, can I trust in you? And Tai was able to answer, yes, Mother Earth, you can trust in me. I will always put my best action. I will not abandon. Yeah. And actually, Tai has been living and practicing that ways and even directly engaged with environmental work. There was a conference called Dai Dong, which meant great togetherness, and it was a response to environmental questions way back, I think, in the 70s, 19. So it's not that Tai has not been aware of issues, but his response has been building community. Because from community we can make these actions happen. And then Tai's answer to Mother Earth, he's answering also on behalf of us. Tai actually puts a lot of trust and confidence into us as his continuation. He knows he cannot do it alone, but he already sees that we are his continuation, and that if we walk the path of understanding and love, then we will generate that capacity to be able to give the same answer that Tai said, I will not abandon Mother Earth. And we start local, even we're thinking global. So we start with ourselves and we start with our community, but we're thinking all the time about the global situation. If we are vegan, it is out of reverence for life and not wanting to cause suffering. Yeah? And at one level that is really at the level of the individual animals, to have less suffering. We cannot completely take away suffering, but we know we want to go in that direction, and that is the principle. And then we see the connection with the climate change, of course, yeah, and because now the animal consumption is so high that its contribution to climate change is very big. if there are 8 billion human beings consuming over 10 times more animals every year, you can see that 70 billion, 80 billion animals need a lot of water and food to be able to die for our eating them. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. We should have the water and food for the natural life, for human population, and also restoring the wilderness, restoring the wildlife, the natural habitats, so animals can enjoy. So these actions are very important, but these actions must spring from true community, this great togetherness, springing from our individual practice of kindness, cultivating compassion, understanding, calm. If there is a situation very difficult outside, then there is the story that I find useful of the boat, which is maybe got many people and it's in a storm. And if it's the potential for it to capsize, if people panic, and there is the story of one person who is able to stay calm in that situation, sit down and be completely calm, and that person actually inspires other people to also sit down. So just by their own action, they inspire. They don't try to shout, "Everybody be calm," and then everybody will automatically, "Oh yes, of course, that's a good idea, I'll sit down as well." But it's more, we really do it deeply, take care of ourselves, and then naturally it touches people. Like when we do walking meditation, we inspire. So it's by our own practice. And Thais said, my life is my message, not just calling out for action. Yeah. So when Thai went out of the meditation hall, as he said in the film, what he meant by engaged Buddhism was bringing the mindfulness energy, the calm energy, the compassionate energy into the actions. So it's even not enough to say we don't do a violent protest as a strategy because non-violence, is more effective as a strategy, but it's because it comes from the deep insight of non-dualism. So it's actually, our non-violence goes deeper than just a bodily action, but it's also recognizing the interbeing nature of the problem. So it's also not just about blaming politicians. Actually, we cannot rely on the politicians for the actions because they're in a system which is also stuck. Even they have good intention. So the ones with good intention need our support, but we should take actions which are not relying on them making laws and things. I think for Plum Village, for instance, we can be a model, so we can do things together. We can, for instance, become carbon neutral by a certain date. We can set ourselves a goal. If we come together as a community, we can make that kind of decision to do an action which is also to be a model. And we're already doing a lot with organic farming and the way we live together and share resources. But the foundation of it is the brotherhood and sisterhood, is the loving speech to each other that allows the community to not tear apart. Not to get angry with each other, as Sister Chan Khong shared. And this way we have a chance to do these actions. And we do need material things, as you heard yesterday in Upper Hamlet. Upper Hamlet can be closed down any time because we are not up to code with things. We need these support from everybody to raise 1 million, to just be able to have conditions where 100 people can stay here and we don't have to close the kitchen and close the... so we do need these material realities as well. And we need to support each other, you know, in this. So there are material realities, but the real thing that makes it worthwhile, makes it worth supporting, is our practice. And that is not just for the monastics, but for all the Sangha. Yeah. And the practice is to build brotherhood, sisterhood, and starting, of course, with learning how to calm ourselves, cultivate compassion, cultivate loving kindness in to ourselves and the way we interact. And this is a real contribution to do like that. And if we are also aware of how our attention is being hijacked, when we come together as Sangha, it is so joyful to practice that we kind of reclaim our sovereignty together, to really not just be distracted in the world or caught up in our work. So the work of action, be it even a protest with Extinction Rebellion, it's something that should come from a place of calm, compassion, and wisdom, non-violence, but also from joy, because we do together. But there are many actions that we can do. You know, it's not just the protesting. This is one part. Yeah. So we each see what our part is, and we do it together. So that's some response to your question. Thank you.
Before you ask the question, I want to reserve for silent written question. It's a few silent written questions that maybe Sister Giac knew. One question: how do I do the silence meditation? That is one question. Another question, two important questions, I think that. No, you.
Dear Suko, this is a question. How to deal with the conflict between me and my family? As you know what is happening in Hong Kong, I try to convince my family to support the act of the citizens as they are fighting for peace. However, my family did not agree and thought that the citizens are destroying Hong Kong. How should I face the conflicts? What should I do? Thank you for your listening and helping me out with deep gratitude.
Non. Elle va répondre la question how do I keep meditation? Donc she will answer the question concerning how to do silent meditation.
Dear Thai, dear Noble Sangha, this question relates to what our brothers just shared. The same. It's a gift for ourselves and it's a gift for the planet. It's coming back to the peace inside us. Usually we don't like so much to be close to ourselves because we have a lot of worries, a lot of anger, a lot of suffering. And when we keep suffering and anger, we water this seed in the world too. It's why we are invited from the end of 9:30 in the p.m. to start to be in a noble silence. Noble silence is a gift for us also, because we are always interacting with someone else. It's difficult to stay with ourselves. It's why we try to have a contact by eyes, by ears, by speaking, by thinking. It's normal. It's our way of living for many years, and it's the way our ancestors have lived before. Suddenly, we come here and we meet this wonderful practice, and we are asked to do. We are invited to do it, to come back. We have already practiced, like sitting meditation, and in just that time we try to be in touch with us and to sit in silence. We don't move, we stop, and we just breathe, coming back to ourselves. And we create the island where we can find a refuge to live with us inside. And if the mind still continue to practice the speaking, like a radio, it's okay. We just recognize it and just coming back to our breath, to our body, how our body feels, what is the position of our body. And we try to concentrate on this path. And slowly, slowly, the mind will become quieter. Our master before, one time, used to offer some juice of apple to the children. And in the apple juice, we have pieces of skin and flesh of the apple. And one little girl don't want to drink. She says, no beautiful. It's like our mind when we think too much. And she preferred to go and to play. And when she came back, she see the clear juice of apple, and down just the skin, the part of the skin. And she was so happy to drink. And Tai used to share with us that meditation is help us to do like the glass of juice, apple juice. Do you understand my English? Is enough? Okay. Thank you. We have also walking meditation. Walking meditation is one way also to come back to ourselves by being very aware of our breath, and our feet we touch the earth, Mother Earth. We give massage to Mother Earth. We listen our feet. Sometimes we feel the grass, sometimes we feel the gravel. The noise is not the same, the touch is not the same. Focusing our mind on this path. And by this way concentrated, stopping to think too much, walking, breathing together, and it's not rare that suddenly the answer of the question we have inside us will be realized. We receive the right answer. It's coming from Alaya Vijnana, the consciousness, tréfond, le tréfond we saw yesterday, down. By this way, we can try to use this kind of acting. Even we peel the carrot, when we cut the vegetable, when we clean the toilet, and even when we sweep the ground. In the story of the Buddha, one young man who was not very clear mind was invited by the Buddha to sweep under the tree, to make the place always perfect, because he cannot understand what is the teaching of the Buddha and cannot recite what the Buddha said, and he was very sad. And the Buddha offered to him, just please sweep and make the space very clean for me and for the Sangha. And every day the Buddha come, look at the beauty under the tree, because the tree let go many leaves and bring many leaves also, new leaves, and let go the old one. And every day the Buddha looked at this young man and said, "Are you happy enough?" And said, "Yes, it's so beautiful what you are doing." And one day the Buddha came and looked at the face of the young one. It was so bright. "Are you happy?" And the answer was a beautiful smile. And the Buddha invited him to come for the lunch, to sit close to him. But for the Sangha, it was not agreed to do, because it is a little bit not normal for the mind. But the Buddha invited him to sit, and after lunch, he told everyone, he is enlightened. Oui, merci comme ça. It's why we are invited to don't think that our mind is so bright. Sweeping is perfect already. And in mindfulness with the breath and the movement, totally present, and the noble silence will be inside us quickly. Thank you. Sorry for this long story.
So time has moved on, and this will be the last questions, so thank you for those patiently waiting, and maybe there's opportunities after this session to ask questions in our families also, so it doesn't have to be the finish. But we have time for one more question, so I'd like to welcome you and have a sound of the bell. Thank you.
Dear Thai and dear Sangha, I'm here in Plum Village together with my husband and my daughter of almost 2. Things go really well in our family. We have one difficulty, the biggest challenge for us since we know each other. I have a very strong wish for a second child, though my husband does not share that dream. This seems to be like a huge mountain between us, and we are both suffering from that. We both have understanding and lots of compassion for the point of view of the other. We are able to share and communicate. But still, we don't seem to come to a point where we can find each other and take a decision that feels good for both of us. We are looking for some keys or advice how to go on. Thank you for listening.
There is like a huge mountain between you and the husband, but at home or here? At your home or here?
In general. Because of this question, yes. Not all the rest is going really well.
So if I paraphrase, just to say that she has your husband? a wonderful relationship, good communication, really care for each other, but one wants to have a child and the other, that's not what they... Is right? Yeah. You want... Sorry, I misunderstood that.
You were right. The question we have between us is me wanting to have a second child and my husband not sharing that dream.
So, the question is not about separation, because you are in this together and you already have a child, and so you have to work this out together. Yeah, and you have good conditions because there is a lot of love and communication. Yeah, and in Zen Buddhism we have something called a koan. That means a kind of a subject of meditation. Yeah, as Khoi just said, it's basically cannot be solved by logic alone. Like you, in a sense, you are both right. Yeah, because from a certain perspective, and you cannot walk over the other person's aspiration. Yeah, and so it seems like impossible. You call it a mountain. Yeah. So to hold this mountain in your heart as a question, without immediately thinking, I know the answer. Yeah? And you can, it's with meditation and deep looking, and allowing the question to be there of how do we resolve this difference, which is running very deeply into our way we see it is, what conditions we want for our happiness and for to be a family and for a future. And the two of you together to not just try to win the other person over, but to wholeheartedly, individually, you and your husband, to really hold the question about this. Is there a way forward with this? To have what in looking into really what is the need behind both individuals, you and your husband, the deep needs, and what is the idea that you have a child, for instance for you, what this represents for you. Thai has said also our idea of happiness can be the obstacle to our happiness. So also to bear that in mind, you know. And when we get the object of our happiness, the thing that we thought would bring us true happiness, we also have to know that it might not be the answer to everything. Yeah. So before we jump, that is the only way I can be happy, also for you to ask the question deeply, to allow some space with that idea, to allow some space. So you say, my happiness is it really dependent on that? You know, because there are many people that cannot have children, or even have children taken away from them, and they don't have those conditions, and you already have a child. Yeah? So to also cultivate happiness in the present moment and gratitude for conditions you already have, and that also becomes a foundation then for looking at this question. So in order to take care of this question as a koan, you need to build a lot of conditions of gratitude for what you already have, so that you, it's not a grasping energy, but it's truly a question of meditation and allowing it to help you actually using because there is a lot of life energy and kind of vitality in your desire, and that can also, if taken care of, maybe help you open your heart in areas that you, other areas, you know. So for instance, sometimes even monks and sometimes particularly nuns can have the desire to have children, and they recognize it may come up, especially at certain ages, you know, talk about the biological clock, can happen for somebody that is committed to being a nun for life. And they have to be in touch with the aspiration to have spiritual children. So they sort of are able to look in such a way that they put that energy into transmitting through their actions their love that they want to transmit to the biological baby. They have to find ways, other ways to channel that intention, that vitality, that love, and and it can actually lead to more compassion. So it's not so whatever decision is made, if the decision is based on a foundation of gratitude for what you already have together, it's based on a foundation of cultivating true love and not being in the grasping place. And this is also to share this for your husband too, you know, if he's here, he has to do his work. So you're here, so I'm sharing for you, you know. But so it's also for his to look at his idea of why it's such a bad idea, you know. It's also two sides, But even we made a decision to go one way, suppose to have a second child, be the deep looking you have, in the 14 mindfulness training, we also say, meditate deeply on the world in which we are bringing new life into. And this is also part of our practice, to be very aware of bringing new life in, because it's of the responsibility, and we want to have the best conditions for our children. And of course, when we have a lot of love and good conditions, we feel, yes, I want this child to experience this, and maybe the baby I have to have a sibling, and things like this. But we don't have to we look at our reasons and we are careful. So the idea of a koan is to keep it as a question and allow the mountain to be there, but not to try to solve it right away, but hold it and practice meditation, holding the question, and something called insight can come. But you have to, in a way, empty your ideas of happiness for the space to give space to insight. So it doesn't mean throwing away and saying, okay, I give up my desire, but rather to let it go in order to hold the question and allow something else to come, namely insight. So thank you for your question. It's a work in progress for you. Thank you. So, dear friends, now we really need to close this session, and we have a beautiful time together. Thank you so much for your deep listening and support, for all the people asking the questions, and for those of us offering not so much answers, but maybe contributions to exploring into the questions. There were no answers today. There were there were more, it's like a deep looking session, yeah? And we continue to do that together. So in questions about our response to global matters of environment, issues of climate change, and issues of true love, we need each other to look deeply and to practice deeply together. So we have a Dharma sharing time also for that, and maybe if you have a question, we can bring it to our Dharma sharing family if we didn't get a chance to be here. And now we move into the morning. The next activity will be the walking meditation, taking our packed lunch with us in a bag perhaps, and enjoying. We gather at the bell tower with the sound when we hear the activity bell. And the walk is down to Shunha, where we will enjoy picnic lunch together with some music. So it's a very special time for the Sangha to be there. So thank you so much for supporting this session. We'll now have 3 sounds of the bell before to close. Thank you to Sister Chan Khong, to Sister Giac, to Phap Khoi. Thank you.